All right, we're live.
Hi there. Welcome to Peppers and Flowers, where sales and marketing doesn't make sense. Please join us for the conversation.
James, we've been on hiatus for like 2 weeks, I think. Has it been 2 weeks?
Yeah, roughly. I think, we just decided there's other priorities, other things that are important. But, everyone has their hiccups, and here we are back at it. So, you
Yeah,
know, we do what we got to do.
that's right. Yeah, it did seem a little crazy the past 2 weeks. Um, so I'm glad it's kind of getting back to normal. We can kind of get back and do this more consistently now.
Absolutely. I think a lot of what's going on these days in the world is people are quoting the new normal, and so what does that mean for
Normal.
us? What does that mean for other people? And I think every day everyone's discovering what that really means now.
Yeah, it's kind of like there's a transition of behavior. And you know what would be funny is that I think it'll linger for a while. I think we'll start seeing more and more people because I think it's like we broke the ice a little bit. So we'll start seeing more and more people not acting the same as they did 6 months ago, you know? So
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, for me, just personally, I'm becoming more grateful for everything that I have. Whether it's relationships or food or time or whatever it is. Like there's so many things we have in life, and I'm just learning to become more and more grateful for all things.
Yeah.
And my quote that I came up with is that I said gratitude is the new world attitude.
That's
You like
nice.
that?
You got to get that trademarked.
Yeah, I know. I gotta put on a t-shirt. But
What was it? What was it again?
gratitude is the new world attitude.
Gratitude's a world new attitude. That's cool. That would be an awesome shirt, actually.
Yeah, yeah. So actually, I'll give away another one of my ideas that I don't know if it's the best idea, but like we make shirts that say "I survived the pandemic" or "I survived COVID-19" or something like that, and put on a T-shirt for
Fun.
after all this is done. But then it's kind of sad too because like it's like, well, what about those that didn't survive, and you're wearing that shirt, so it could be kind of a negative feel too.
Yeah, there's a thin line you kind of jump on with that because it's such you can come up with such funny phrases on things to do with like coronas and all that stuff, but yeah, it could be really sensitive. I know
Yeah,
other
yeah,
people are having a worse time than others, so it just kind of
right.
but I know it's
Yeah,
funny. Let's jump into something interesting today
yeah.
called in Spanish. I think it's in Spanish, El Pasión,
Mm, wow,
right?
nice.
I don't know. Is that how you say it in Spanish? El
Well,
Pasión.
my kids are taking Spanish in school because they're in the DLI dual language immersion program. So these guys learn like Spanish like nothing, But it's pretty amazing. Yeah, I think Spanish is really taken off right now. So
Well, we're in Southern California. That's like primarily that's like slowly becoming the primary language. do,
yeah,
do you
yeah.
speak another language?
I speak. So I'm Korean. So I'm from South Korea. I speak Korean. I do speak a little bit of Spanish. I took a few years in high school, and then but that's pretty much it. Yeah, just English primary, Korean secondary, and a little bit of Spanish.
Dude, I didn't know you spoke Korean.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, I was one of those guys that I was pretty much raised in the U.S. Like I came to the U.S. From South Korea when I was 8 months old. So I was still I wasn't even a baby. I mean, I was a baby. I wasn't even a year old yet.
Oh my
And
gosh.
yeah, so I mean, I was raised in all the schools here in the U.S. Just pretty much, even in my house, like my mom and dad, they spoke to us in English, So it wasn't like I had a chance to really practice Korean. But then as I got older, I was like, man, I want to learn some Korean because like I'm Korean, you know.
Yeah.
So I took a couple classes in college and stuff like that. It was pretty cool.
So you're kind of like, you can kind of speak it more fluently now.
Yeah, in fact, my wife, she came to the U.S. a little bit later in life when she was like 16, so she was already like going into high school. So she had all of her elementary and junior high school training in Korea, so she was totally fluent, you know. So when we got married, we tried to speak Korean more at home together. It was kind of cool for me because I learned a lot. So I've been married her for this is our 11th year in marriage, and I learned a lot of Korean just talking to her and practicing at home.
Wow. So, okay, I
Yeah.
got to ask, is Korean, it's going to be a loaded question. Is Korean difficult?
It's actually what's the word that comes to my mind? I was gonna say it's very logical. Like it's a very if you understand like sentence structures and things like that, Korean can be easy to figure out. So it's not a difficult language to learn. And even pronunciations, they're very soft and melodic. Like it sounds very soft and easy to listen to, you know?
Not
So
like
it's like
Italian with hard accents.
yeah, there's no like blah, like no like hard accents. It's just like I'll say something in Korean, like what do you want me to say, and I'll try to say it in a way that
Just something simple like a greeting.
okay. So I'll say like hello, my name is James, right?
Right?
안녕하세요. 제 이름은 James입니다.
Oh, yeah.
See, it just flows, right? There's no like hard stops or like you know. I'm not down
No, it's
talking to
just,
anybody that has that, but yeah, it's just how Korean is. Yeah,
that's really nice actually. Because,
yeah.
okay, my, my, my relatives are from Italy. And so
Oh, okay.
when you go there, it's so funny because they are all about accents. And if you don't get the accent right, they don't understand a word you're saying. So like
Hmm.
here's an example, it'd be like you go like, "Oh, could I get a cappuccino?" And they're like,
Hmm.
and in Italian they say cosa, which means what? They're like, "Cosa?" Like what?
Hmm. Hmm.
And like cappuccino, cappuccino,
Hmm.
cappuccino.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
they just don't understand. And then all of a sudden it clicks and goes, "Oh, cappuccino," you know? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, cappuccino. Like you couldn't connect two and two. I don't know. I mean, when I talk to, I feel like depending on where you're at in the world, if you talk to someone who has a thick accent who's trying to speak English, I feel like for the most part, whether you can interpret better than other people, I feel like for the most part you can kind of get it. You can kind of go, okay, he said this word incorrectly, but he meant this. And okay, that was a really broken sentence, but he meant, I can understand what he's trying to say. But when
Mhm.
you go to Italy, it's like that doesn't exist. It's all about these really harsh,
Man.
it's timing too. Like the way how drawn out a word, like there could be two words. I forgot what word it was. There's two words. They're the exact same. But if you elongate a uh, if you elongate the word, it means something different than if you say it sh- uh, shorter.
Oh,
So
okay.
even
So
like
if you say cappuccino or cappuccino.
exactly, I don't remember what the
Okay.
word was, but that was
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. It means something
Right.
completely different.
Right.
So
Right.
if you don't say it perfect pronunciation, they just like don't understand. But
Wow,
Korean
man.
is smooth.
It's so yeah, it's funny because like I don't know how this plays out, but like in Korea, like Korean dramas like have been the thing for a while now. And so have like Korean like they call it K-pop, like Korean pop, like rock and roll
Oh
pop
yeah,
or pop culture. And so it's like this stuff is taken off around the world, and just like it's just become a major thing where even like in non-Korean speaking countries, people are watching these Korean dramas like all night long, and it's just like people are reading subtitles, just learning and watching. And something about the creative arts, I think Koreans have gotten a handle on it, for some reason,
yeah,
especially acting and singing. Yeah,
crazy. Let's
yeah.
get back. Let's get back into El Pasión.
Absolutely, man. This is beautiful. So that means
Passions.
I'm guessing that means like the passion.
I'm gonna get schooled by saying it incorrectly. I think that's how you say passion in Spanish.
Passion. Okay, cool.
I think
Cool.
so.
El Pasión.
Passion. Passion. I know. I think passion's a lot like time. Like
Mm-hmm.
passion, time, and money, I think is all in the same sector. Like
Okay.
you probably prioritize one more than the others.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Passion, time, and money was the third one.
Passion, time, and money. Like I feel like
Okay.
that's kind of an idea because
Yeah.
you probably, like I said, you probably highlight one more than the others. So you probably
Right.
are more interested in money than passion. You're probably more interested in passion than money, or
Mm-hmm.
but I feel like on some occasions you could do something that you're passionate about and get the money out of it
Mm-hmm.
and have all the time in the world, but really the most important thing to you is
Mm-hmm.
money.
Let's do that. How about we flesh that out a little bit? Like, talk about how do you run a business or live life in a way that, you're passionate, but you don't give up any of the other benefits. Rather, I mean, some people can be really passionate about something, but then they're just like that starving artist, because they're just so passionate they don't care about the money, and so they're starving.
Or maybe
Um,
maybe your passion is determined its worth on like the return of investment you get out of it.
mhm, mhm.
You're not doing it because like it's you're doing it, but it's a struggle
Right.
versus like your full-time job's paying you like
Mhm.
six figures a year and you're like, well, I should make this my passion because it's paying me.
Right. Honestly, I think the key to like real passion is doing something that nobody is telling you to do, and and yet you still do it because you love it. So it could be something that's very unpopular or something that's like not that easy, but yet you still do
Yeah.
it because you love it. It's a passion.
Well,
And
isn't that,
so
don't you, I feel like that's hard to come to an understanding though. I agree with what you're saying, but I feel like
mhm.
it's hard for, I feel like generally that's hard to get to that point for someone to
Yeah, I think
fully submit to
yeah.
the honesty of what they want to do and then not think of anything else except for I
Mhm.
really want to do this.
Yeah. How about this? I mean, if it's so, we both have families, and my passion is like, man, I want to, at the end of the day, I want to provide for my wife and children. I want to make sure they're taken care of. And so that could be like the subtext, like the underlying thing that motivates me. But yet, well, how do I carry that out in the real world? Well, hey, I have an ability in business. Like I know how to, do sales and
Yeah.
marketing. And, so, hey, I'm going to carry that out in the real world by running a business, right? So, as I'm out there knocking on doors or meeting people and things like that, like, I'm like, yeah, I'm working hard, but yet, hey, in the background, I'm like, yeah, this is gonna help my family. This is gonna take care of our needs, and it just motivates me to work harder. Now, the maybe the focus of my day to day is like, hey, I'm driven to help people in sales. That's my specialty. That's what I know how to do really well. And so I really, I work hard at it, and I work hard in a passionate way to help people to understand sales better. So that's kind of like the focal point, but yet there's an underlying passion of my family that I really want to. That's like my real motivation.
Wait, here's a thought. My opinion on this is okay, there's so many moving parts to life that everyone is involved in. So you have family, you have kids, you have job, cars, houses, vacations, you know, all that stuff. Just a ton of different things, like school, whatever.
Hmm.
And I'm going to say I think really what passion might be in someone's life is more of the self-reflection of satisfaction of the totality of the everything that encompasses that as a whole, which basically means I'm not just a passionate painter and doing what I love, but it's also like the meaning behind everything. So you're a passionate painter, you're doing what you love. You also are able to, you're also really happy with where you're at or where you live, and you're really happy with or grateful with everything, not just necessarily the best thing in my life is my passion. Everything's kind of just whatever.
Yeah, that's a
Like
good
not
point.
good. Like I'm not in good standing with my family, and it bothers me, but I'm doing my passion. But I feel like it's more of a addition of everything in a way. Like I feel
Mm-hmm.
like you'll enjoy your passion more if you are have kind of everything else satisfactory, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So someone who, I guess the buzzwords that come to my mind, are like, someone who's well-rounded, someone who's balanced, somebody who kind of, I guess just, is more of a complete picture rather than this fragmented, I'm just so focused on one thing. Um, Someone who understands that, you have to sow into everything to really make everything develop. If I neglect my kids, if I neglect my job, or anything else, I neglect my hobbies, that things will start to dwindle down a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, that might be it. Right, because you're kind of like a singular temple, right? You're a singular temple, and just like a building, you have different parts, framework and wood and metal beams and uh, offices, and so buildings have different things like a roof and stuff, windows,
Hmm.
and so your body is somewhat of the same thing. And I mentioned temple because it's not so much religious more than it is like just kind of trying to tie the two ideologies together,
Hmm.
you know. So your body's the same way, and I think a more sound structure is something that you could probably enjoy more things in your life more easily when you feel. And it's not like you have your stuff together. It's not like you own a house or you own a car, you have all that standard stuff that people tend to look at and go, oh, this person has it together, but more of like mentally in a way. So if you can be grateful or be satisfied in a lot of parts in your life,
Hmm.
I feel like it's so much easier to just enjoy everything else that you're doing. Like if you're a painter, which I feel like is the best example to use, and you just seem like everything in your life is this might be hard to achieve, I don't know, but everything in your life is just where you feel like just really satisfied where everything is right now, whatever that might be. I feel like
Hmm.
you'll enjoy what you do even more. Like you can
Yeah,
enhance
right.
passion.
Yeah.
That's deep. I went a little deep there.
No, no, that was, but it hit me. I mean, I caught it. Like, yeah, if you're a painter or a musician or anything else, and not that you have to be an artist, but say even if you're a construction guy and your passion is building homes or buildings, well, wouldn't you feel a lot more comfortable, you know, go out there and building if you knew that, you started off your day with the wife and kids at the breakfast table, enjoying a good meal together, having a nice chat, encouraging them to have a good day, and then you go off and then you go and build homes, rather than, you're at the home, your wife and kids are there having breakfast, and you're like rushing out early because you got to get to that build site faster. You want to get done faster, and so you kind of slip out of the house and don't spend time with the kids and family. So it's like, well, uh,
Yeah, yeah.
that person is in a different state of mind. If you're building, now you're like, oh man, maybe I should have spent some time with the kids. Maybe I should have, not slipped away so quickly. And what's my priority in life? It's like, you feel more distant because you're on that build, you know, day after day, week after week. And when you do that enough times, all of a sudden, it's like, you know, there's that relationship is being hindered, you know. And
I
yeah,
think
so
it probably would also reflect on, he might absolutely love doing what he does, or she loves doing what she does, but that person might end up resenting what they're doing.
yeah, like that could be, you know, they could think, man, you know, why do I spend so many hours in this job? And you know, I once heard this man, like he was like a, you know, some type of an engineer. I think he was like in his 40s, and he was at this job for, you know, over it's like over 10 years, doing this for a long time. And one day he was at work and he was just staring into his computer, working away, and he saw his reflection in the desktop in the screen. You know, he saw his face there, and he was looking at himself, going like, "What am I doing this for?" You know. And
Yeah.
he kind of caught himself like, why am I doing this kind of work, and is this even satisfying? I think I should be doing something else. You know, that was his conclusion.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, yeah, you know, what are we doing every day? Is it mindless? Are we focused? Is it passionate? You know, where are we on that spectrum?
Maybe we dilute, maybe we have a weird perception of what passion is. I think perhaps humans like to understand things with singularity solutions. So it's easier to understand that a tornado is created purely by really fast winds.
Hmm.
And probably now, okay, by any means am I not a tornado expert. I have no idea, but I'm just trying to give an example. Like, there's a lot more to it, right? There's certain conditions. You have to have two winds, I think, go against each, run into each other at a certain speed. Has to be like atmospheric pressure. I mean, there's a ton of different things to it, right?
Hmm.
But I guess you could probably put it down to, you just have to have two wind sources going really fast, hitting each other. So it's wind.
Hmm.
And so you just kind of summarize and go, yep, that's what it is. That's how I comprehend it. It's easy to get. And it's probably the same psychology of people tend to put faces to things. So if you see some abstract thing, if there's
Hmm.
some slight indication of shape of a face, you're probably going to see that because it's a subconscious thing that people do, because you look for faces and things.
Hmm.
So with that said, it might be a longing to find a singularity passion when you're a human being that is not really singular in thought or in life, you know, but has been branded as your passion is a singular thing. So perhaps what I'm trying to point out is perhaps your passion is actually your lifestyle and the way of life type of thing. It's
Hmm.
almost it's almost saying like, you're not really passionate about painting, right? You're not really passionate about going to your 9 to 5 job, or maybe even going to your business you run. You probably just don't like it. Who
Hmm.
knows? But in total, you know, you like riding bikes, you like surfing, you like drinking wine, you like sailing a boat. There's a ton of different stuff you do, and so everything as a whole is kind of like you're living a passionate life in a
Hmm.
way. It's more of just satisfaction of everything together as an equation rather than just a singularity thing. And that might be why it's really hard to find this elusive passion or thing like that, because um, some people have that, some people just don't, because we're searching for a singularity thing, and we don't realize like everything in your life can equate to you being a passionate person, right?
Hmm. Yeah, I think so. I mean, you know, there's that saying, you know, it says, you know, that some people are a jack of all trades, but a master of none. And it's like, you know, well, some people are so busy doing so many different things, you know. You know, it could be everything from, you know, a passionate hobby to a special trade in life. Maybe just self-development, like health and fitness, nutrition, things like that. we're a master of none though, because we're just kind of, dabbling in so many different things just so that we can say, oh yeah, I know a little bit of that and I've been around that. And you can kind of associate with different people and connect with different people at different levels. But then when it comes down to it, you're not really an expert in any one of those things. And so I think a lot of people are happy with that lifestyle, because for them, they just want to know that they understand a little bit of everything, so they can kind of just feel comfortable in their own skin, comfortable in the world they live in, and with the people they're around all the time, and so they're content with that. Whereas maybe some other people are like, you know what? Yeah, I dabbled in all these different things and I found that I'm really, really good at these things here. And it could be painting, it could be, singing or whatever it is. And so they decide, I think it has to be a decision, a firm decision of like, okay, I'm going to get better at this. I want to learn this more. I want to master this. And then they just carve out more time in their schedule to perfect that art form or whatever it is they're doing. It doesn't have to be art. We kind of go to our art because that's a passionate thing.
Yeah.
It could just be, I want to learn a different language, and I want to become really, really good at Espanol, I
Yeah.
want to become
Espanol.
really good at Italian, Korean, whatever it is. But like, we focus and then we kind of go for it, right? And I think what happens to those select people that find that unique passion is that they begin to see that sometimes when you focus on fewer things, that all of life comes more into focus for you. You know,
Mm.
it's just a different way of approaching life. Like on the one hand, the jack of all trades, master of none says, I want to just learn a little bit of everything of life so I can get a full picture of life, right? So that's their way of approaching it.
That, yeah,
And then the
exactly.
other
Yeah.
person, and then the other person says, you know what? No, I'm going to focus on a few things in life. And as I get really good at those, like all of life will come into focus, right? And I'll just kind of understand everything
Well,
else.
okay. Let's touch upon that real quick. So I almost think it's quite opposite. So I agree with you, but I think the last part when you said, you specialize in a few things, then life becomes more apparent. I actually think it's the opposite. Um, like we have this thing with sayings, right? People say like master of none, jack of all trades, master of none. And that just sticks, and it just seems to be like the truth because you hear it so much. So I think that's a certain type of truth where if you just repeat it enough, it becomes reality. It becomes like a personal truth to you. When in reality, it doesn't really mean anything necessarily, right? Uh, but here's the interesting thing. I actually believe if you specialize in something, you run a risk of being exceptionally closed-minded to anything else except for that one thing you're really good at, which isn't a bad thing. I'm just trying to point that out. Now, the in between would be you specialize in whatever it is, right? You're an astrophysicist, you specialize in black holes, but you open your mind to be like a lifelong learner and always learning new things. So you don't understand something. Well, let's spend the time to actually learn it, because once I learn it, it'll make more sense now. So having an open mind to be like always open to learning beyond what you're doing, you might actually have a better perspective on life. I think a big example that where this is prevalent with specialized practices is um, healthcare with doctors. Do you agree?
As far as what specialties go,
Yeah, think about it. So I think some of the most, I think not, okay. Not everyone, of course, but I think a lot of specialized doctors are pretty closed-minded because they only specialize in ear and throat or whatever, which I think is a weird combination. Ear, nose, and throat. It's kind of a weird combination.
yeah,
But
ENT.
yeah, but anyways, they only specialize in that. So therefore all their opinion is going to be purely based on just that stuff. But everything else kind of is just nullified, you know?
Mhm. Mhm.
Like every specialized doctor is going to say, no, 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 the problem is in the ears and throat. No, 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 the problem's in the elbow. I specialize in elbows. The problem's in the
Mhm.
foot. Like, but so whatever you're doing, whether you're broad or specialized, I think you actually probably are going to be more in tune with life's perspective if you always become an active learner moving forward. You know? Like,
Yeah, I mean, it definitely begs the question, like, um, knowledge or understanding, is incomplete when you think you know it all. You know, if I come to a point in life where I say, you know what, I kind of know everything now. I'm okay. I'm good to go. When you get to that point, it's kind of like, well, that's when life starts to wane a little bit, I think, because once you think you know it all, that's where you stop growing. That's where you stop experiencing life.
yeah.
Um, you,
And
you know
and
what
when
I
you
mean?
hit that point, you actually need to understand that if you hit a point where you ever feel like you know everything, you need to
Hmm.
understand that it's a false truth. It actually is telling you of how little you actually know.
There you go. Well said, man. I mean, you hear a lot of really nice older people say things like, when I was young, I thought I knew it all. And, then I got older and now I realize that I really don't know that much. And they kind of admit that,
Yeah.
and yet they're so happy and they're so excited about life still because they have that right attitude.
Right. It's so intriguing, isn't it? Well, here, okay. Oh, here's a great example. I love this. For the sake of privacy, I won't say some names, but there's this weird, okay. So there's this weird environment in my family. And what's strange is, so you probably have some similar things too. And let me know where there's, it has to do with like an aging mother, right? She's in her almost 90, I think, 80 something.
Hmm.
Okay. And she's taking medication, she's doing all this stuff. And then we got the pandemic. So a lot of, if you're a concerning person, you're going to be concerned about that person. And that grandmother has two daughters, right?
Hmm.
And both daughters are a little, uh, let's just say, very eager to offer help, even when sometimes it's verbalized that no help is needed here. You know what I mean?
All
Sometimes they
right.
overdo your thing, and it's a big process. Like the sisters are emailing each other all the time. They're calling and checking up with everyone, and cousin has high blood pressure, and everyone's just in their business. They're all trying to help everyone at the same time, and lines can be crossed. And to me, it just seems like, my God, like, do you really have to spend all day emailing about updates? And it seems outrageous a little bit, right?
Hmm.
But what's actually quite interesting about this whole thing is, so when the one of the daughters, let's just put it that way, which,
Hmm.
okay, they have a place in Texas. Now they go out to that place, and when they're in that place, their attitude and perspective changes. So it almost seems like they become a more like complete, passionate person out there.
Hmm.
When they come back, it turns into, just instantly clicks, and they turn back into this concerning thing. They're emailing updates about people's health, and there's this and there's that, and there's like everything. It's just like a whirlwind.
Hmm. So then
And
why do you think, yeah, go ahead.
well, exactly. So it's like, I think the point to this is, one area is completely discombobulated,
Hmm.
and it creates just like turmoil.
Hmm.
But then there's another environment that does the complete opposite. So is it really the person or is it really the environment you're in? Which
Yeah.
basically means if you're doing a lot of different things and people are saying, well, you're a master of none, you're a jack of all trades, is that
Mm-hmm.
really true to you? Or do you feel like you have enough knowledge to help a lot of different people in different situations?
Mm-hmm.
Or are you putting yourself in a situation where you feel, oh, man, I am worthless. I need to like specialize. So it's the same kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
She comes to California and she feels like everyone needs her.
Mm-hmm.
And then when she goes to Texas, it goes away, and then she feels just more satisfied in life.
Yeah.
You see my point? I know that was a little kind of stretched, but
No, that's cool because I could kind of piggyback on that because if you look at the pandemic that we're in, it speaks to what you're saying. It's almost like before the pandemic, people are stir crazy, running around, with their iPhones, trying to keep up with everything, social media, their jobs, their kids, their families. And it's like, they're trying to do all these things, and yet there's not a sense of presence, like their own, almost like a presence of mind. There's that term being mindful or mindfulness. Their mindfulness is almost gone, and they're just running around. And now fast forward, into the pandemic now, where it took a little while for, I think, that transition, because just being, sheltering in place, it did have its own uh, uh, kind of ripple effects of, well, maybe this isn't the way I should live. This is wrong, and there's a little bit of, bitterness and anger that comes up, but once you start to really settle and shelter, you're like, it's another state of mind of being more mindful. I have time with the family. I'm happy that I do now. My friend just celebrated his 40th birthday yesterday, and his comment was, well, I wasn't sure how it was going to be sheltering in place, but now that I did, I'm really grateful because I was able to celebrate my birthday with my family home all day,
you
and
probably are closer to you probably are closer to like a purpose or passion in your life. If a great way that would be a great way to figure it out. What you just said, like if you
hmm
can go to a friend's birthday and 100% be there, mentally active, no, not you never don't have worries. So, but if you can try your best to subdue those things for the time being and fully engulf yourself on where you're at currently, you know, enjoying that birthday party or whatever, it's kind of like just deal with what's going on right now and don't worry about what might happen tomorrow or what's already happened. It might help you become more aware to kind of become focused on realizing self-awareness of how you were, or my god, I was worrying about something that I shouldn't even worry about. Like
mm,
even if it is something worrying some, it's still there.
yeah, it's a gut check, it's a reality check, and it makes us feel like, I would say, just feeling more human. The fact that, when I get together now with people, I'm more emotionally present. I could connect
Yeah,
better. I could laugh more. I could smile more.
right.
You know.
My favorite thing about um one of my favorite things about like as a life statement, I guess, or whatever. It's one of my favorite things. Okay. I love witnessing people who dedicate so much time and so much brain power and energy on trying to like live for someone else, like help other people, right? So
Mm.
They're doing such extreme things for one person, like for their mother, right? Got to take care of my mom, got to take care of my mom, got to take care of my mom. Then someone else comes, I got to take care of that person, got to take care of that person, right? They're so concerned about that, making
Mhm.
sure they take whatever. You apply that to a lot of different situations, right? So there's that. But then the instant they get out of that situation, whether they travel or they go somewhere or anything like that, they don't worry about it anymore. And guess what? Nothing changes. All the effort, all the energy, all the time they put into something, and then they just like go somewhere else for a week or two and they don't get involved with anything or whatever that situation is. When they come back, it's still the same. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like their efforts are doing has nothing to do, has no effect on anything. Because when you stop doing it, like let's say, a great example is you take your medication, like if you have a mother or something like that, right? It's just an example I kind of have in my life right now.
Mm.
When you leave and that person's reliant on themselves more so, and then you come back, depending on the situation. But my point is like, it's still the same situation. Like nothing's, this might be a bad example, but nothing's changed. So it's almost like generally in life, there's things that you just have no control over, but you can perceptively deceive yourself that you do. And for some reason, there's certain times in your life where you can write it off and go, okay, well, I'm going to be gone for a week, so I'm not going to be able to be responsible for this stuff.
Mhm.
And then you leave, and then for some reason, you just have a great time. You don't worry about it. Everyone just lives their life and do what they're supposed to do. And then when you come back, you just instantly click again back into that sporadic behavior. But what
Mhm.
they're not seeing is everyone's taking care of themselves. No
Mhm.
one, there's no problem. It's, you see what
Mhm.
I'm saying? It's some sort of habit or perceived deception or something like that. But
Yeah.
you're spending so much time and effort on something that doesn't really need your time or effort. Imagine if you put
Yeah.
such obsessive effort into something that you feel that you know could actually make a difference, like into your work, into family, into
Yeah.
maybe if you're single, into gym time. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. That's very, very cool. I mean, if you think about it, that's very enlightening in a lot of ways because, everybody is an individual and all of us have our own lives to live. And I think the key is to just live that life to the fullest, but then some of us get it wrong and we think, no, my life you know, is somebody else's life. If I help that person, that's my life. And and even though there's times in life where we have to do that, with aging parents or relatives that need help,
Oh yeah,
but
sure.
then when, like you said, when you're off on your vacation away from that moment, we should really be focused on ourselves and the people around us, and just living our lives to the fullest, and whatever that
Yeah,
means,
yeah. I mean,
Uh-huh.
I said this before in one of the other podcasts. Like, imagine if you were just instantly teleported to the planet Mars. I sound like an
Hmm.
old person saying that. Planet Mars. Imagine if you're just teleported to Mars. You just now
Yeah.
you live there. You're the only
Right.
person there. All your earthly problems may still exist on Earth, but they don't follow
Hmm.
you. Like you think a debt collector is going to come to Mars to try to collect you for your debt? You just basically vanish. It's like
Uh-huh.
no one, none of that remotely matters anymore.
Absolutely. Yeah.
None of that matters anymore. And it's the same thing. Think about it this way. What if all of a sudden you were arrested and put in federal prison for the rest of your life? The life you had no longer exists.
Right. Yeah.
Like all your worries, you would be basically, it would be meaningless to be worried about things. I don't want to say it's too absolute, but I mean, in a certain extent, it'd almost be meaningless to worry or be concerned about things outside of your wall because you aren't there. You really should
Mhm.
just be concerned about what's inside, what's happening at the moment, the
Mhm.
environment you're in.
Mhm. Mhm.
So that's the same thing. People can lose track of who they are or what their life's about or what they want their life to be about because they get so entwined into all these facets of life that you get too involved in other people's business. You get stuck in there. You get too involved with feeling like you have to take care of everyone, or you get
Mhm.
involved with I have to work so much. I have to do this. No one's forced. You don't necessarily have to, unless you want us to live in
Mhm.
that big house. Then yeah, you got to work like 15 hours a day for sure. But
Right.
no one's forcing you to do any of this. No one's forcing you to take care of anyone. I mean, in
Mhm.
your life, you'll have these moments, but imagine if you just feel overwhelmed. You got so much going on. You feel so responsible. Then all of a sudden, you go to prison. You're probably going to feel pretty stressed out, I guess. Pretty unfortunate that you're in prison, right? But you don't have all that responsibility anymore. That's my point.
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, in the blink of an eye, life could change, from what's that movie, Wolf to the Wolf of Wall Street, or I don't know, but kind of like, or think of that one with, Will Smith when he was homeless, and then, he went on to become a very successful financial advisor, and your life could change overnight in the blink of an eye. I mean, it just depends on where you're at and what you're doing, um, and from day to day, like, yesterday was different than today, and tomorrow's gonna be different than today as well too.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think there's an air of humility that we all should carry, a humility of like, yeah, I'm at the mercy of, more than just my willpower and my own logic and my own thinking. Like, I can't think my way out of situations all the time, or think my way into situations either.
Yeah.
I have to be humble to think that, like, there's more of life than just my own abilities, and so that means, taking people seriously, because, we live in a context of other people, family members, friends, and neighbors, as well as coworkers and things like that. We
Yeah.
live in a context, we live in a world of economics, where, a lot of finances drive things as well too. But also, I think even from a kind of a higher level thinking of, like, metaphysics and kind of spirituality, you know, um, I live in the context of, the way that I see it, of a creation that was created by a creator, and so things are designed a certain way, and so, kind of living in that mindset of, yeah, do I honor my creator every day? Do I live in a way that is God? I call it, I call my creator God. God fearing. Do I just do whatever I want, however I want, and with no regards to, um, you know, um, morals or ethics or anything like that,
Yeah.
and I think if we live in that right mindset, in humility and in context of the world and life that we live, there's a greater chance of living a fulfilled life, and and a life that honors people, and when the time comes that, oh, I have to take care of my aunt or uncle or my mom or dad, that we are there, because not because we're that worry wart, but because we really, we've prepared ourselves to be there, because we already have become that kind of a person to help in time of need, by simply by nature of how we've been living for all of our lives, and so we go, we help out, we take care of others, we do what's right, and and that gets taken care of too, um so I don't know, I guess all I'm saying is, is that, life is not a patchwork of doing so many different things and trying to get the most done, but it's more of an internal thing. It's like, where are we internally? Am I becoming am I becoming the right kind of person every day? Um, am I becoming the kind of person that, who knows, maybe I would like to be a friend with, or
Yeah.
an associate with?
It's almost like you have to be selfish to really find your purpose in a way. Like
Yeah.
you gotta stop comparing yourself to others and thinking what is right in helping other people is a great thing, but I think first it'll be so much more enjoyable to help other people when you just be selfish and focus on yourself and go, man, this is right for me. This is what I want to do, or this is what I need to be doing or going or living or whatever it might be. But I think but I think that's a really hard thing to figure out. You know, certain things in your life are forced. So if you are forced to go to college, you kind of are forced to figure out what you want to do. You kind of don't really have a choice because graduate high school and your parents like, hey, you're going to college, and you're like, oh my god, all right, I guess I want to do finance. Sounds fun. That
Hmm.
happens all the time. So you kind of just have to jump into something and figure it out. But take some time and just stop and go, okay, let's get real. What do I really want to do? And just really want to play guitar. Okay,
Yeah.
what what can I do right now to like get that going? Well, you know what? I could play 2 hours a day. There's an open mic every Wednesday. I can go play at open mic, and we'll just start with that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it doesn't have to be a grand scheme of things, but a little progression towards something could help get you in the right path. But it's it's a maze. There's no formula to life. It's just basically what you decide to ultimately do for yourself.
Right.
Because if there was some guide to life, then it would be foolproof. It'd be like, follow this, and you're going to end up being the happiest person and most successful and this and that in life. And that none of that exists. I mean, there's attempts in self-help books and that sort of thing, but everyone's so different. Everyone's born different. They have different names. They're born in different areas. It just that doesn't work. Different interactions. I mean, twins born at the same time have different life experiences.
Hmm.
Even identical twins. I mean, how much closely can you get to nearly the same person? And they have different lifestyles, different personalities.
Right.
See, so it never can be duplicated.
Yeah, totally. I think that's the reason why we're meant to live our own lives and just live it well, because, you know, um, we don't have, I mean, it's not that like, if I'm a twin or an older brother or whatever to somebody else, it's like, it doesn't make me their ruler. It doesn't make me their, superior or
Yeah.
inferior. It just, we're all equal in the sense that, like, all of us have our unique lives to live. And I think what
Yeah.
happens sometimes, people get caught up in trying to, be better than other people, and think that, like, well, if I just do this, then I'll be better than that person, and then they'll have to respect me and give me all kinds of accolades.
Oh, right,
Or
right,
if I,
right.
if I just help this person, then maybe some other thing, but, like, if we just focus on, like you said earlier, what motivates me, what drives me. Well, like, I just want to play the guitar. I mean, then yeah, let's just focus on that. It's not a bad thing. You're not committing crime. You're doing something that develops yourself, and it's a passion. So yeah,
Yeah.
let's just flesh that out.
Oh, right. And
And
the best part about it is, it doesn't matter how successful you get, doesn't matter how, um, but none of it matters because no one cares. no one, no one's gonna care. Like, hey guys, look,
yeah,
I got this new car. What do you think? They're gonna go, cool, bro. I don't
yeah,
care. Right. The
yeah,
only thing they're gonna care is if you say, hey, I bought a car for you. Here you go. And they
yeah.
go, oh, sweet. No one cares. No one's like looking at you and going, maybe your parents sometimes, but no one's looking at you going like, Hmm. Are you sure that was a good idea? Like, no one cares, man. No one cares. I hate to say it sounds so cynical, but like no one cares about you, really. So you might as well just do what you want to do, you know?
Yeah, ultimately it's kind of like that, it's like, I guess, what I guess the question that I have, that's kind of just out there for the audience as well is like, what are our real trophies in life, like what do we value so greatly that we're like, yeah, this, when I get this means that I made it. What is that trophy? What is that shining thing that like stands out that we can just be so proud of at the end of the day or whatever it is? Like, that people will look at and go, yeah, you know what? Is it the Nobel Peace Prize? Is it the, Pulitzer Prize? Is what is it for us in life that we're chasing after, or that we're striving towards, that when we get it, we can go, hey, look, I have this now, and people will just, give us that awe and that clap of adoration. What is it? And like, I think you're right. In a lot of ways, there's really no one, except our parents and maybe close friends that are really watching, and it's like, they're not going like, did Daniel get that discovery yet? What,
No,
did
not like, oh, I really hope he paid his rent this month.
yeah, I know. Right. I know. I mean, and for us, it's like that. We have our successes that we have to just achieve on a regular basis. Did
Yeah.
I feed my kids breakfast? It's like,
Well, that's like what we would like. I would think, oh, did I pay my rent this month? Okay, cool.
yeah,
My friend
yeah,
wouldn't go, oh man, I really hope Daniel paid his rent this month.
yeah. Yeah, but
Oh,
even in the grand scheme of things too, it's like, some people write books, and it's like that they put a lot of energy and effort into writing a novel, but then it's like, what's everyone else looking at? Do they go, wow, like, yeah, that person wrote a book? What's everyone's opinion on that? um
right. You know
it
what? And you know
varies.
what? You know what's sad, but really, you're gonna have more friends that will be interested in your book just because the first thing they're gonna think is, oh man, my friend's gonna get bloody rich. We're gonna have amazing parties. I'm gonna be friends with a celebrity. That's gonna look so good on my resume.
On my resume. Right. Yeah, it's good. I think so. I mean, success by association and all that good
Yeah,
stuff.
total.
You know,
I think that's the underlining factor, right?
right, right.
And then probably your friendship may have a higher risk of ending on bad terms because the successful author is going to realize, man, this friend is just smooching off me.
Right, right. Yeah. I guess so. I think that's why it boils down to the basics again, like, of just living kind of like a life of purity. Like, I'm gonna live a life simply because I've been given a life and it's my life to live, and I'm gonna live it to the best way as possible, and I think if we have that right perspective when we're around friends and acquaintances, that we'll say, I'm not gonna, like, disregard this person or befriend this person because of their finances or because of anything that they've achieved in life. I'm gonna become a friend with this person because of who he or she is. Just another human being born in this world that, obviously is trying their best to live a good life as well too. And so, it takes on a different level of relationship, and all of a sudden now our perspective on life isn't so much based off of achievements, but it's based off of essence. Like, somebody else is just another human being, you know no
Yeah,
better than me, no less than me, equals.
yeah, for sure.
That was a lot, but
I gotta mention this one last thing I got from
yeah.
you. Oh, dang, I think I lost it. Let me think. There's, oh, damn, it was so good. No, it slips. If I think about it, I'll email it to you.
Sounds good. I think for me, the key to today's discussion is like, how do we become passionate people? Whether we are a successful entrepreneur, or we are, you know, not, you know, whether we are a homemaker, which is, you know, sometimes, you know, a greater job description than someone running a company, or whether we're, you know, someone who's looking for work, whether we're someone who's suffering that doesn't have it all figured out. Maybe we are that aging parent that's hurting in a convalescent home somewhere or something like that. Um, you know, whoever we are, how do we still maintain a passion for living? Because my bottom line, you know, answer is, if we're living in this world, whether we're 2 or 92, that we're still in this world and we still have a life. And if we have a life, then how are we living it? And how can we live it with passion every day? You know?
Yeah.
And I think we have to draw from a deeper source than trying to keep up with the Joneses, trying to measure up, trying to achieve and be successful. You know, there's got to be a deeper source. And yeah, I think, you know, I refer to God, and I think there has to be some level of respect for humanity, for creation and the order of life, you know, and just the ways of living. And so there's got to be a reverence for our creator. And you know, and I know that might be a touchy subject for people, but I really think that that is what it comes down to. And if we have a respect for our creator, we'll respect his creation, you know, and not step all over it, but take care of it.
Yeah.
And that includes our own lives, our you know, family, friends' lives, and just the actual creation itself, the material world that we live in. There'll be a greater sense of care for over, or what's that called, caretaking kind of mentality of taking care of it all.
Yeah.
That was
Wow.
pretty deep, man. But I mean, was that too much, or was that just enough to like at least get the conversation still going?
No, that was great. No, thanks for sharing.
All right.
Yeah, that was perfect. No, I think you got a solid foundation below you. You know,
Yeah.
seems like you're not wearing far from your truth. It's you seem to have a really good understanding of your life and where you're at and stuff. And I think that's a good thing to have. And also, here's a tip.
Mhm.
You're probably going to connect with more people if you be real with them instead of bragging, because I got to tell you one thing that I know for sure that is a personal truth to me is when you meet someone and the first thing they start talking about is my business makes this much per year, we just did a deal about that, we have this, we do this, my name's Joe, I'm a CEO. My gosh, do I just want to like go shoot myself?
Oh, man. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
i'd
Yeah.
rather i'd rather meet someone who I feel is just none of that matters. It's just kind of, they're just a genuine person. They're a good person. They're being real, and you portray yourself that way too. That you're just a real, genuine, upfront person. So
I appreciate that.
I appreciate the honesty of just putting that forward.
Yeah, it's definitely something that I've been working on, because like, you know, my background is, you know, one of those guys that like tries to achieve. Like, I've taken a personality test, and one of my high points was being an achiever. And so that means like, oh, I have a college degree, you know, I have, you know, a lot of work experience, professional work experience now. You know, like yourself, I started a company, and, you know, all these different things. So sometimes I think that's what life's all about. So when I meet people, I talk about that. Oh yeah, I have a company and I'm that guy, you know, oh yeah, we did this, we did that. But then when you look at it, you're like, well, you know what? Does that really have to be the topic of conversation in every conversation you get into? And the answer is no. I mean, I could just be like, hey, you know, me and my family went to the park today. We had a great picnic. What'd you guys do? You know, and it's not about like being that, like you said, being that CEO. It's more about being I don't know, a dad or a husband, or maybe not even that. Maybe just being someone who woke up with a big headache, and I'm like, I'm tired. I don't know. How about you? You know, it's like,
Yeah.
there's just so many ways. Like you said, being real, like that is such a good word. I think reality or being real is very, very important.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a good place to end it. I mean, I think we've encapsulated. Is that a word? I don't know. I feel like we encapsulated like the meaning of life in 45 minutes or however long it was.
Yeah. Well, I think, is there any last thoughts, Daniel, on your end, as far as like, oh, were you able to remember what you were gonna share or email me?
Yeah, that's what it was. It was the basically don't be a D bag, and just be real with people. That was it.
Right on, man. That sounds good. All right, friends. Well, we apologize for skipping a week of Peppers and Flowers. For those of you that tune in on a regular basis, we are caught up again now, and here we are back on air. And so, may this encourage you guys today, friends. That's a wrap. Thank you for joining us today at Peppers and Flowers. We look forward to joining you again next Saturday. Daniel and James signing off.